This is the canal. It's a man-made canal, and that's where a lot of the water was taken from there to, to water the farms here. We had farms out here that provided some food for the residents there. But this was the end of the camp. This block here started 1 and 2, and so it went this way. Each block had, this is the picture of a typical block. There are 6 barracks here and 6 barracks on this side, and each barrack had 6 rooms in there, so 6 families in a barrack. And this was the dining room, mess hall, where we all went to eat. This was the laundry room, shower room, and the bathrooms there. Both my father and my mother's families were came from Hiroshima. They're in Hiroshima, Japan. And my father's father was first to come here on my family side, and his name was Kojiro Fuji, and he came with his son Chojiro about 1894 to America. He used to be a swords maker in Hiroshima for the samurai, but when the samurai time period was over, they banned the making of swords. It became illegal, and so then and of course there were no some, so he had to find some other kind of livelihood. But he had heard by that time that many Japanese were coming to America and doing well. They're finding jobs, and so he decided to come to check it out himself. And he brought his son Chojiro, not the oldest, I think the second son in the family, with him. And Chojiro, I think, was about 16 years old. And they came and they realized that there were many jobs available, labor, low income labor type jobs, because by the time they came here, this country, America, had closed it to the Chinese laborers that had come before that time. And so they discovered that there were jobs in farming and logging camps and mills and mines and railroad construction. And so then they went back, well, my grandfather went back to Japan. He left Chojiro here, but he went back to Japan and recruited the men from Hiroshima. And so he sent about over 500 people from Hiroshima to this country. And then Japanese laborers, I understand, were not allowed to enter the U.S. in 1907, starting from 1907. If they came before that and they had families in Japan, like wives, they were allowed to send for them, and they came. And but then in 1924, they became ineligible for citizenships, and no immigration of aliens were eligible to become citizens after that time. But even with his college education, which he got a degree in sociology, it was a bad time for jobs, and there's still a lot of discrimination against the Japanese, so he could not get a...
So there was a lot of discrimination against Japanese people after the war, but how much discrimination was there before the war?
I think there was even more discrimination before the war, because they were, like, if you came from Europe, you look like Americans. So they were not that much. Oh, they were discriminated against too, but Asians, they knew that they were foreigners, and so then they were discriminated against. They could not go to. They could not. They were not granted citizenships at all, and they were pretty much, congregated in this one area. It was called Nihonmachi, that area, and it's not too far from this area here. And so there was even more discrimination, I think, before the war. But in spite of all that, the Japanese did prosper quite well because they're very hardworking. I know my father and mother never took a day off from whatever jobs they were doing. And then in 1942, of course, when the war broke out, they made all the Japanese, 2/3 of whom actually were American citizens because they were born here. But it didn't make any difference. Everybody, so many miles in from the coast, along the coast rather, were incarcerated.
How did you feel when you heard to be sent to the camp?
Well, we were so young that I think that it didn't. Well, we were sad that we were going to be leaving our homes, our only homes that we knew here in Seattle. But I think we weren't affected quite as much as our Nisei parents, who had come here and worked so hard and finally was able to become a little successful in their businesses. And then to learn that they were going to be losing, they lost all that. They were going to lose all that, all the businesses that they had successfully, and the work that they had accomplished. So to them it was a real blow. And I know my father, along with many other men, were taken away to the justice camps. Anybody that was a little prominent or active in the community were taken away. And so the wives and the children, if possible, had the job of trying to store their articles that they had, or get rid of many things, that they thought might be incriminating, and then pack whatever one suitcase worth of things that they thought they were needed in camp. And I don't think anybody knew what was going to be supplied to them in camp, so they didn't really know what to take. Some people took dishes and things like that, thinking that they might need that. And so I think it was very hard on our parents. Then we were given, I think, 10 days notice to close the businesses, pack whatever you
10
can.
days.
Right. That 10 days notice that we would be shipped away. We knew something was going to happen. There was, before that they had a curfew on all Japanese. We couldn't be out in the streets after 8 o'clock at night.
Which camp were you sent to?
Well, we were sent to the Minidoka Relocation Center, they called it, in Idaho, southern Idaho.
How long does it take from here to go there?
Well, we were sent on a train, and it took us 2 days and 1 night. And it was an old train, so it probably maybe not have taken that long. Actually, now that they do have so-called pilgrimages where, the residents here can go to the camp to see what it was like. And I've been on that trip. And we do it in 1 day in a bus. So, it's, as far as mileage, I'm not too sure how many miles. But it took us at that time 2 days and a night.
So
This was, there was an elementary school, I believe, here. One elementary school here for this end of the camp. We lived in Block 36. And our school was over here, Block 32, elementary school there. I think it was the weather that was really the toughest thing for us. I know that it was so hot in the summers, and dry, and I suffered some nosebleed problems, and so every other day I had to go down to the hospital, and the hospital is here. We lived here. Go down to the hospital, and they would have to treat me for this nosebleed. And these are the pictures of during the year, boys eating in the mess hall, and this is where we lined. This is inside of a mess hall. We would line up here at the counter and receive our food, pick up our food, and then take it to the tables. These tables to eat. This is what nursery school. They were given vitamin pills here. This is a lady going out to take her bath. They'd have to go all the way to the laundry room, and I remember bathrobes, towels, take our soap, and the getas that they used to wear, because they wore them into the building, but I don't think we are allowed to wear them inside the shower stalls itself. And the shower stalls, I don't think, had any curtains or anything. There's no privacy at all. A beauty shop, and this is when it had snowed, and there was lots of snow. And this is the guard tower where you always went if you wanted to go out of camp for a day, or when you finally left. We felt, again, we're second-rate citizens. We're born in America, but we're not really American citizens. But I think we almost accepted that idea. How
did your
family feel about it? Oh, I think they were all quite angry. Yeah, they were very hurt about the idea that they were sent to a very desolate area, give up their successful businesses in Seattle, because many were doing well with hotels and other businesses, but stoic Japanese, learn to gaman. There was never any they did not do a lot of complaining. They just went along with what the government told them to do, and the Japanese have always been that way, and so there was never any problems for them. But I think the adults did suffer a lot.